All right, hey VC, how you doing? My name is Jamie. Welcome back. It's been a while since my last video. I was really laid up with a rather nasty cold recently. Got it a couple of weekends ago, and boy, it hit me just like a ton of bricks. I'm talking like cold and massive congestion, but doing much better now. If I do sniffle and cough during this video, my apologies. But man, I was laid up with a nasty, nasty cold. So back with a contest entry video, and there are a lot of contests going on in the VC. This is from Mike and Jam on Vinyl. He's got a very great channel, and he's got a very unique contest going on called Jam on History. Where you basically show like 5 albums that have sort of a historical context or a historical connection, that sort of thing. And then you also show a mono record. So let's get right to it. Now, when I heard of the contest, a Jam on History, I immediately thought of Canada's Stan Rogers. He was a great folk artist, died in 1983. He number of really terrific albums, including this one, Northwest Passage. And Northwest Passage, the title track on this one, talks about the ill-fated Franklin expedition. So the Northwest Passage basically is the sea route to the Pacific Ocean through the Arctic Ocean, through Canada's north. That area is pretty much now known as Nunavut. But Franklin's lost expedition was the British voyage of sort of like Arctic exploration led by Captain Sir John Franklin that departed from England 1845 aboard 2 ships. Everyone lost their life. They didn't make it. And those ships have only actually been recently found over the past couple of years. But yeah, it was an ill-fated voyage, Northwest Passage. And Stan Rogers does a sort of a beautiful job capturing that. And Northwest Passage at one time, I think it was like a CBC radio thing where they were asking people to come up with an alternative Canada national anthem. And the #1 choice was Northwest Passage. And it's just done, the song is just done completely a cappella. Beautiful song, great album. If you're not familiar with Stan Rogers, do check him out. He was a great Canadian folk artist. So Northwest Passage. The first one. And so I thought, okay, we're getting in sort of a nautical theme. So if you're doing that one, of course, you got to do Gordon Lightfoot and Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. And that is found on this one. It's the second track. And of course, the Edmund Fitzgerald was the American Great Lakes freighter that sank in Lake Superior on November 10th, 1975, with the loss of the entire crew of 29. And absolute classic, Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald, Gordon Lightfoot. Okay, so that's our second one. Third one, I thought I'd go with a dentistry. I don't have this one on vinyl, but I thought I'd go with the Bismarck when I was thinking, okay, so we've got, things like the Northwest Passage, Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald, what's next? Of course, Johnny Horton, Sink the Bismarck. And you might remember the 1960 movie, Sink the Bismarck. Of course, the British Navy sinks the German battleship Bismarck in the North Atlantic near France, and this was on May 27th, 1941. And this is a compilation, so Sink the Bismarck is on disc 2, track 12. Now, Johnny Horton, we don't remember him usually like this in terms of photos. Excuse me. I think there's a better photo yet. When we think of Johnny Horton, we tend to think of him like that as opposed to like that. But there you go. This is a nice compilation overall. But yeah, Johnny Horton's Sink the Bismarck. All right, so we'll carry on with our nautical theme. This one's kind of, we're going to go with Trooper. This was their greatest hits, Hot Shots, and we're going to go with the song Santa Maria. Now, of course, the Santa Maria was the largest of the 3 ships used by Christopher Columbus in his first voyage across the Atlantic Ocean in 1492. Now, for this song, it's not specifically about the Santa Maria. They kind of use that imagery. Like some of the lyrics from this song are talking about cruising on a sardine boat, and the Santa Maria was anything but a sardine boat. But then it says, loaded with crazy people, we shall be the Santa Maria looking for a brave new world. So it kind of conjures up some of that imagery. So here we have our nautical theme continuing, Troopers, Hot Shots, Santa Maria. And then I was thinking, okay, well, what's next? I was really kind of racking my brain, and I was like, oh, yeah, Bob Dylan and the Tempest. And I don't own this on vinyl, But the title track, Tempest, of course, talks about the Titanic. And of course, the Titanic, the British passenger liner operated by the White Star Line that sank in the North Atlantic in the early morning hours of April 15th, 1912, after striking an iceberg, right ahead, during her maiden voyage from Southampton to New York City. And of course, so Dylan talks about the Titanic in the title track, Tempest. It's a long track. And this was the early CD version that came with some unusual packaging, CDs in there. And then it came with this sort of like little notebook. I don't know if you've seen this before, but it's an odd little notebook that's just got different, it's got like little inches in there, and then you can make your notes. And then each page has got just a different sort of like international magazine cover that features Dylan. Really unusual, that sort of thing. So yeah, some usual packaging for that. Okay, and so that's our 5. So again, Northwest Passage, Edmund Fitzgerald, Sink the Bismarck, Santa Maria, and Titanic with Bob Dylan's Tempest. Okay, let's show some mono. In terms of a reissue mono, I think this has got to be my favorite. This is a 13th Floor Elevator, Psychedelic Sounds of. This is a mono copy that came out for Record Store Day. Just a lot of fun. Just a fun reissue. But some of the mono ones from my collection. Twist and Shout, the Beatles. This was the Canadian Capitol release on the famous Capitol series, the 6000 series, which was a Canadian Capitol series. The idea of the 6000 series, not only it did feature some Canadian artists, but the idea of the series was that it was going to kind of feature international artists for the Canadian market. And new at the time was, of course, the Beatles. And so we got the Beatles, Twist and Shout. Always did like this cover. And so, yeah, that's mono. And I do have a number of great, Rolling Stones mono records. These are all mono. Got these at a good price. They sound great, play great. And that, December's Children, and Great to Have Flowers on mono. This music, there used to be a store in Stratford called Music years ago, and then they moved just outside Stratford, but they have since closed. And there's Cheapies in Hamilton that is closing as well. So Joel at Planet 13 is going to have to get out to Cheapies and get some deals. I look forward to those videos. Okay, so those are some mono records for you. And again, I do apologize for the cough, but it was a nasty cold. And yeah, so that's going to wrap it up. Again, congratulations, Jam on Vinyl, great channel, and good luck in the contest. Take care.